What up, what up? It's your boy, Mr. Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'm back with another installment of the Dangerous Minds podcast. First of all, I'd like to give everybody a shout out that has been supporting the project. Yes, the Dangerous Mind. Yes, I Am a Dreamer. My EP is out now, and I've been getting a lot of great feedback, and a lot of people have really been supporting it. I put in over a year's time worth of effort, like, to make this thing, and I'm in love with how it turned out, and it seems that I'm getting a lot of people that feel the same way, so I really appreciate that. Also like to give a birthday shout out to the guy Hove. Happy 47th birthday to one of the greatest rappers of all time, in my opinion, Jay-Z. And let's get on with it, because in celebration of my EP release, my album release, basically, on iTunes, Google Play, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, all streaming and digital music platforms, I would like to do something this month a little differently. For the month of December, I will be doing top 10 lists. Now, this particular list I came up with myself, but I would love to hear from people for the next 3 weeks. I would love to hear from people and get some ideas of what kind of top 10 lists would you like me to do. Like I said, these are all my opinions on the subject. So, I mean, I don't even know why I gotta say that. Of course, it's my opinion. I'm not basing it off any facts. I mean, it's literally called my disappointing albums of 2016. It's literally saying that this is how I personally felt about this shit. You may not agree. And if you want to, you can come to the Instagram page, or you could go to the Spreaker site or the YouTube page and leave your comments. We could have the debate about if any of these albums on this list you disagree with. And I pretty much feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with a lot of these. Now, let me explain the criteria real quick. So, when I said the most disappointing albums, top 10 disappointing albums of 2016, I'm only speaking on albums that I've listened to personally, albums that I was personally looking forward to, and the finished product of what I was given, I was not necessarily happy with as a fan. A lot of hype, a lot of build up was put into these albums, or just the fact that I'd been waiting on something new from this particular artist or this particular group, and I don't feel like they really came with it. So let's get on with it. Now, all of them may not necessarily be albums that I was expecting a lot from. I was just expecting maybe a little bit more than what I got. And starting out at number 10, we have Tory Lanez, I Told You. Now, I've been kind of lukewarm on Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez has always kind of come off as somebody that could be entertaining, but not necessarily, I felt like he was a great artist or a great rapper or a great singer. But just whenever he put out stuff, it was entertaining. Like, it was stuff that I was really, I could put it in and rock with it with no problems whatsoever, right? And the songs that came off of it, especially the song Say It, and some of the other singles or songs that he had put out in between time, and I even liked his mixtapes that he dropped around this time last year, I thought they were pretty dope. So when his album came out, I was expecting maybe this is be a pretty entertaining album, and it actually was really boring to me. Like, Charlamagne called him out on the Breakfast Club, and they said, yeah, you sound like Trey Songz. Some songs you sound like Kendrick. You sound like Drake. And you could see it on his face, like he really didn't know how to respond to that. Because even he knew that he sounded like all those people. And I had saw that interview before I heard the album, but I was still interested to see what he came up with. Because I hate clones. I really don't like rappers that mimic other rappers like purposely. There's one thing if you sound similar to somebody and you kind of remind me of somebody versus when you sound blatantly like this person. There's a big difference. So I hate clones. But even then, it could be a somewhat entertaining project if this person does it right. But I wasn't entertained. There's really nothing on this album that stuck out other than the singles, Love and Say It. Everything else was boring. It sounded real amateur a lot of the times, and the story is just so played out. The R&B gangster has never been something that could be pulled off. I'm sorry. Like, I can't think of anybody who can really sound threatening and menacing and hard and whatever you try to describe this person. Nobody has ever sounded like that while hitting high notes. Just never. And Tory Lanez is no different. But we just gonna move on because there's really not much for me to say about this album. Number 9 is Always Strive and Prosper. Sorry. Always Strive and Prosper by A$AP Ferg. Now, his last album, I was actually surprised by. Trap Lord. I wasn't really expecting much from him, even though I liked Shaba and the remix to what was that song called? It was the track with the big remix to it. Hold on, I'm gonna do a quick Google search real quick. But I wasn't really expecting much, even though I like those songs, and I actually really like Trap Lord. So this album, I kind of went into it thinking, oh, maybe he could still come in with a dope, entertaining part. Like, even the songs with, it's like him and A$AP for A$AP's album. Or, the song's called Work. It's the Work remix. So when I heard those two songs, I liked it. So I was thinking that, going into this one, I was going to be able to get a nice, entertaining album. Kind of like with Tory Lanez, but I was expecting it because he's always been, like, charismatic, high energy. Stuff like that. I wasn't expecting him to be like a super lyricist, but I was expecting to be entertained, and I wasn't. Like, the thing about A$AP, the A$AP Mob, I really like, is that they had their own flavor they added their own flavor to what was already popular, like trap music, and things of that nature. That kind of atmospheric music. They had their own flavor to it that was real dope that I really fuck with ever since Live Love A$AP, and that's kind of what I got from them. And the thing about A$AP Ferg's project, it was just kind of stripping away the parts of them that made them unique and just completely going in the direction of what everybody else was doing. The song with Future, I didn't even like that song, and the truth be told, it's the best song on the project, and that's saying something. That should tell you how bad it was. I didn't already like the song that you put out, and it's still the best song on your entire album. That's all I really need to say. I really hope that he comes a little harder next time, but this album didn't do it for me. All right, we're going to number 8. Number 8 is In My Mind by the BJ the Chicago Kid. And I don't mean to sound harsh when I say this, but I think sometimes some artists only sound good on features. Some people are good at maybe making 1 or 2 songs here and there, but they may not be that great at carrying an entire album, an entire full-length project. Some artists may not have it. And this is the first time I've heard a full project from BJ the Chicago Kid. He's had some independent stuff that I haven't had a chance to sit down with. But anytime I heard him on a song, whether it was with Schoolboy Q, Big Crit, Kendrick Lamar, when he did those features with those people, I was expecting a lot. He has a really dope voice. His writing from what I've heard, is real creative. And, it was a lot to him. And I was thinking like, okay, maybe it could translate into an album. And it's like yes and no. Like, it's not necessarily a bad album. I'm not saying that it's a bad album. It's just not anything new. And that's kind of what I thought I was going to get from him. Is something new. Like, he could take that classic soul sound and come a little bit more creative. And it seemed like the first half of In My Mind, that's what it sounded like. Like, the song that really stuck out to me is a song with Big Crit called The Resume. That song alone had won me. And I thought it was going to be, I thought, okay, like, and then every other song before that was real creative and real dope too. So I'm thinking, that's when I was going to really get some new stuff out of him. But it seems that after, Man Down is dope. Man Down is a dope song too. But everything after The Resume, like the first 5 songs is dope. And then after that, it kind of goes downhill to me. Like, everything sounds like same old, same old. It's actually really boring to listen to. And I tried to listen to it in the car. I was driving from Durham to Laurel Hill. It's a little bit outside of Longburg, North Carolina. And I had to turn it off halfway through. And then I tried to sit down with it a few more times and I just couldn't get through it. It's the same old stuff. He sounds like Anthony Hamilton, maybe like a little bit of Otis Redding, maybe. It's a lot of, you wearing his influences on his sleeve real hard to the point where you kind of get lost into, like, I'm not listening to BJ Chicago Kid halfway through this album. I'm listening to everybody he sounds like. And the religious overtones got a little bit too corny. It was just a lot, and I wasn't really feeling it as a whole. Those few songs that I pick out are, songs I go back to, especially the one with Big Crit. The Resume is dope as fuck. Man Down is dope as fuck. The single Church was dope as fuck, really creative. But everything else was, I can't even really remember how they go. They just didn't stick in my mind at all. Yeah, that's enough with that one. Damn, I thought I had a lot to say, and I'm only up to 8. All right, now this one right here is gonna be one of the ones that not necessarily a lot of people are gonna agree with. Some people are calling it one of the best albums of the year. Some people are saying that it is his least strongest project of his discography. And I am inclined to agree with the latter. And that album in particular is Kanye West, The Life of Pablo. And another unpopular opinion, I actually like Yeezus. Out of all of his albums, it's definitely it's not his highlight. It's definitely not My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which, coming right after that album, it had a lot to live up to that it did not deliver on. And it's definitely not anything My Dark Twisted Fantasy. 808s and Heartbreaks, Late Registration, Graduation, definitely not College Dropout. But I feel like Yeezus is still better than The Life of Pablo. The Life of Pablo sounds so incomplete. All of these songs sound like snippets. People, like when I hear people talk about how great this album is, a lot of them kind of dwell on the songs like Ultralight Beam, Father Scratch My Hands, Part 1 and 2, especially 2 that gave birth to Designer, Famous because of the infamous Taylor Swift line. I love Kanye Freestyle, Real Friends. It's like half of this album people love to death. And especially Real Friends, No More Parties in LA. Nobody gave a fuck about Fade until after, the Tiana Taylor music video came out for it. But the songs like Low Lights, no, Highlights, my bad. Highlights, Fuck My Life, Waves, Feedback, Wolves was boring. Facts, I don't care if it's a Charlie Heat version, it's still whack to me. It's a lot of filler. Like, it's a lot of songs that don't even sound don't sound complete. The song with Chris Brown, I think that's Waves. I can't remember. They all start to blend together after a while. Yeah, it's the one with it's Waves. That one is the worst song on here. And I hate the song with Young Thug too. It's like it's not a good album to me. Like, I don't care what nobody says. It's a lot of highlights. It's like, it just sounds like a choppy demo. It doesn't even sound like a lot of complete thoughts. And that's one thing that I never thought I'd hear from a Kanye West album, is a lot of incomplete thoughts. So that's why I don't rock with this album. But keep it going, because we're already 16 minutes into this. Number 6, the Kazi tapes, ASAP Mob. I really don't have much to say about it other than it was really forgettable. It was really like how I felt about the ASAP Ferg album. I kind of feel the same about their collaborative album, the Kazi Tapes Part 1. Other than ASAP Rocky and then ASAP Ferg on a few songs, nothing about this stuck out. Lamborghini High was a weak single. The song with Skepta, Put It On My Set, is my favorite song, but even that's nothing new. Nothing about this really sticks out, and it came out not too long ago, and compared to all the other albums that's been coming out around it, it is the most forgotten one. It came and went that fast, and you never really hear that about an ASAP project in general. Quick side note, I also hated ASAP Rocky's last album. It was really boring. But anyway, so we're going to go to number 5. Chance the Rapper's coloring books. This is another one that a lot of people are not going to agree with me on. But let me explain why. Going into this, I was really hyped. Anything Chance the Rapper has touched up until this album has been gold to me. Like, before this, I could barely find anything that he's ever put out that I didn't like. And I would like everything about it. But this album was real hit or miss for me. It started off real good. The first 4 tracks is dope. But Blessings was boring. Same Drugs was boring. Mixtape is a song that don't even feel like it fits there. It's okay for what it is, but it's not really that hot. I actually like the one with Justin Bieber. I Hate All Night. That song is the worst song on there. It's very weird. The girl sounds sleep on a song that's supposed to be real high energy, and it just kind of takes you out of it. Like, how great. It's just like how I felt about the BJ Chicago Kid. The religious overtones on this thing was really over the top, and it kind of just made it sound real corny a lot. Like, How Great was real corny. Blessings was corny. The song Finish Line, it was corny. I didn't like that one. I guess I could say that majority of it is I like it. Maybe half and half. Because there's like half of them I really like, and then there's half of them I don't like at all. And that's what it is, because I loved everything else. Like I said, everything else Chance the Rapper put out before this, top to bottom, was undisputably hot. Even the songs with the Social Experiment, some of them were hit or miss, but for the most part, it's a very enjoyable project. But with this one, it's really half and half, and I really hated it or I really liked it. And that's why I don't like this album. Yeah, a lot of you are going to disagree with me, but it is what it is. The Dangerous Minds podcast does not hold back on my opinions. So you can feel however you want to. Fuck it. Number 4, 3001 Laced Odyssey. How disappointed I was in this album cannot be overstated, because I'm a big Flatbush Zombies fan. I loved the first mixtape, but Better Off Dead might as well be a classic hip-hop album to me. Top to bottom, that free album, mixtape, whatever you want to call it, was so raw and so dope from start to finish. Everything is like, I can't find a flaw in that album. Flatbush Zombies created a perfect album. So the actual like label debut, I was expecting a lot, and this album was so disappointing. It is boring. It is forgettable. There's not a single song on this that I like at all. And I know that they ran into a lot of issues because of clearing samples. They do really heavy sampling. There are some songs like the Spike Lee joint, but no matter of fact, yeah, because I said I didn't like anything. I do like the Spike Lee joint and R.I.P. CD. Everything else was just forgettable. I could have done without it, and it's everything about Flatbush Zombies that I liked. The only thing I like on here is the raw energy and that they always bring. But I think even them halfway through it, you could hear like they knew that this wasn't their best output. It just wasn't a good album. And I hope them, I'm still going to be looking forward to whatever they put out later. But this album just did not do it for me. And these last three are the ones that are really the biggest disappointments of this year. Not just to me, but a lot of people feel this way. Number 3, PARTYNEXTDOOR's P3. I'm a big PARTYNEXTDOOR fan. PARTYNEXTDOOR, the first mixtape, is timeless to me. I love it from top to bottom. The people could say that he sounded like a knockoff Weeknd, or the song sounded like Drake or whatever. But to be honest, when I heard it, I never heard anything like it before. Like the subject matter, it kind of sounds Weeknd-esque, but it's a little bit more straightforward. Instead of Weeknd, is a little bit more abstract with it. And, PARTYNEXTDOOR sounded like way more relatable to me. So when I would hear his stuff, it just sounded so dope. And P2 wasn't as good as the first one, but I still loved it. I could still put in both of those right now and listen to them like they're brand new. Because I just love this style. A lot of my production is a little bit inspired by the stuff that he was putting together on those two projects. So when P3 came out, expectations was high. And Come and See Me was a dope single. And the first few songs on this, hold on, I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull up the track list. This might go over. I don't care. It might go over 30 minutes. I don't really care right now. Ah, damn. Yeah, I didn't like it so much that I actually deleted it off my computer. So I gotta find it. I'm gonna Google the track list. Alright, so High Hopes is weird. It's kind of like sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. But it was really hard for me to go back to it. Then Don't Run, Nobody, Not Nice, Only You, Don't Know How. Those songs were dope. So I'm thinking, all right, we got a weird beginning, but we got, a nice, maybe it was a weird beginning, but then like the rest of the album would be dope. And then Problems and Selflessness is, I think in this project, everything else is pretty much whack to me. Pretty much everything after this. I think there's a song, Nothing Easy to Please. It's one other song on here that's pretty good, but the rest of this album is whack. And it's just, I feel like PARTYNEXTDOOR was trying way too hard to do something different than his first two albums. The one thing people were complaining about was that, those two albums were good, but it's starting to become predictable. The subject matter doesn't really change. The production is starting to sound real similar. what is he going to do now? And I guess he heard that and said, I'm going to do something different. And it just did not work. Sometimes you just got to stick to what you know. Because if that's what you do to get different, then I don't know. I didn't like this at all. It was like, I take them 4 or 5 songs that I like and I trash the rest of it. And this is like, 16 tracks. So out of 16 tracks, I like 5 songs. Versus when your first 2 albums came out, I love everything about those. That is really disappointing. So that's how I feel about P3. Number 2, another one that some people may not agree with me with, but this is the most boring album I had to sit through. And there's been a few albums on this list that I said that they were just boring. This one takes the cake. When the one song on your album that I want to go back to is the one, does it even have you on it? That's when you know it's an issue. And I'm talking about Frank Ocean's Blonde album at number 2. This album is the most hyped album I have ever had to wait for. Nostalgia Ultra, Channel Orange are both great projects. Nostalgia Ultra being the one that I feel like is the better of the two. Just in my opinion, I loved his Lonnie, collection when he had those demos that was put together and he was singing. Dope. I love James Fauntleroy, so I love listening to his demos and I loved listening to Frank Ocean. And at first I was like, maybe I can get into Blonde. It just wasn't good. Like I said, the only song I like, and then I'll even go back to, I'm lying. There's the song with Beyonce. I really like that one. And then I like the Andre track. And you're not even on this song. So out of the 2 songs that I'd go back to, only one of them has you on it. That's a problem. It was really bad. But it is not the most disappointing album. The most disappointing album of 2016 goes to none other than Drake for, what is it? Views. Yeah. The most disappointing album of 2016 is Drake's Views. And that sounds crazy because it has been breaking all types of records. It is, it's breaking streaming records. It's constantly, on number 1. It was constantly on number 1. Like, there's nothing about this guy's album sonically and successfully. He has been, I can't even get it out. In the realm of success, when you look at numbers, there's nothing wrong with this album. The problem to me is the sonic, like how it sounds sonically. And it is bad. It is lazy Drake. This album is lazy Drake. Okay, let's pull up the track list. Like I said, I'm probably gonna go over 30 minutes. I'm just gonna go for it. Keep the Family Close is boring. 9 is Nothing New. You With Me sound disrespectful since DMX does not fuck with him. Feel No Ways, I like it. Hype was dope. Western Road Flows was dope. Redemption is boring as hell. With You is probably one of my top 3 favorite songs on here. Faithful was weird. Still Here was a lazier version of Hype. Controller, people have mixed feelings about it. Controller and One Dance, I'm going to just leave them off. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Grammys was whack. Child's Play was weird. Pop Style sucks without Jay and Kanye's verse. Too Good is another one of my favorites. The summer intro is weird as hell. Fire and Desires is pretty dope. Views sucked. And Hotline Bling, of course, is like the big single that came off of this. And it was already like a year old when this came out. This was not a good album. And people can have their mixed feelings about Drake. I, for one, look forward to everything he puts out. regardless of how I may have felt, I might have had mixed feelings about this, that. I Love Nothing was the same. Take Care was dope. Thank Me Later was hit or miss, but I feel like he was still finding his feet as an artist, so I don't even really hold that one against him too much. And of course, So Far Gone is amazing. Now, especially in 2009, he ushered in pretty much an entire new era of hip hop with that project, in my opinion. So with that kind of track record, and if you're reading this too late, I had mixed feelings about it at first, but it was real dope. It's honestly top to bottom. Jungle is still a song I go back to a lot. So with that kind of track record with me, I have to say that out of all these albums and out of all the hype that was built up, you know, amongst these albums individually, this is the one that I felt like had the most, like I was the most, I wanted the most. Okay, let me just say it like that. I wanted this album the most. I thought Drake was going to finally put out his classic album. And he did the complete opposite. Drake has become such a big name that as an artist, he just feels like he doesn't have to try anymore. At least that's what the impression was that I got off this album. And as a fan, not just as a fellow artist, but as a fan, that is the most disappointing thing you can hear from somebody that you're a fan of. Is that they're just going to put out whatever they want, no matter how mediocre it sounds, and what kind of expectation that the fans have built up with you to this point, because you know that they're going to buy it anyway. They're going to listen anyway. And even with this weak project that he put out, I'm still probably going to be looking forward to the next Drake album, which was supposed to actually drop yesterday, but never did. I don't know what happened. Yeah. So that was my list. I went over a little bit, so we're just going to go ahead and get up out of here. Follow me on the Instagram page, Dangerous Minds Podcast, all one word, on IG. Continue to support. Yes, I am a dreamer. I really appreciate it. I hope my project was not on the most disappointing list of anybody else's. And I will see you next week with another top 10 list. Let me know what else you want me to do. Leave your comments below in the video. And I'm out. Peace, love, and chicken grease.